the fastest wheel change in Formula 1 car was set up by the McLaren team at 2023 Qatar Grand Prix, and it took them just 1.8 seconds to change the tire. And the fastest complete work environment delivered for a new team coming to the organization was in one of the banks I worked for, and it took them only 15 minutes. It took admin teams only 15 minutes to deliver everything the developers need to start the development. A bit longer than Formula 1 McLaren, but there were more things to do than just changing 4 wheels. What do those two facts have in common? Well, neither would have happened if both teams, McLaren team and a DevOps team in this bank, had not adopted platform engineering principles.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
I see you are confused now, so let me explain what it's all about. Platform engineering is an IT concept that assumes that we make life easier for the teams to work on business applications. That is, we lower the entry barrier when it comes to the technical and organizational matters necessary to build and maintain the software this team is preparing. And it's not because we love developers so much. In fact, we do, but that's not the most important thing. We do it so the developers don't waste time on technical configurations or learning DevOps technologies or organizational matters, because time is money. And we pay developers to deliver and maintain features, not dig into the technology. The platform takes it all on their shoulders and package technologies and organizational matters in a way that the developer can easily use them without unnecessary training. And well-made platform can save up like 20-30% of the overall cost of delivering and maintaining software, by reducing the cognitive load of the developers on which they usually waste their time. I gave the example of changing the tires in Formula 1 by McLaren team for a reason, because this is perfectly how a good platform team should work. The F1 driver has only to pull into the pit and stop.
They're thinking about mileage, because don't forget with every...
Oh, hang on.
Ooh.
Magic. Sorry about that.
And the rest, without asking any unnecessary questions, and very quickly is taken care by the team of mechanics.
Don't forget with every...
Oh, hang on.
And if the Formula 1 team does not work like a platform, if McLaren has not adopted platform engineering principles, it will look like this. The driver, in addition to pulling into the pit and stopping, would have to tell the mechanics which screws to unscrew. He would have to say which tires he wants, what kind of tires, and in the worst case, he would also need to get out of the car and put some covers on the screws, because the mechanics forgot to do it, or worse, they say it's not in their service.
Steering wheel, claps on steering wheel here. Give me steering wheel. Hey! Hey! Steering wheel, somebody tell him to give it to me.
And in such case, changing a tire would take not 2 seconds, but 10 minutes or worse. And we can forget about winning such a race. So if it takes 1 week to onboard your new team to start working, or your new team, if they need a new environment, they wait another week or bustle with tickets to different teams for several days, it means that your IT does not work like McLaren tire changing team. You don't have a platform. So if you are wondering how to transform your IT, your core IT teams, to become a winning McLaren platform team, adopting platform engineering, you can contact me or interest in my course for managers for building platforms. There I explain step by step, I explained how to transform IT, core IT teams into become a platform team, and what should be done in organizational and technical aspects. I will leave you the link to my course in the description, and the platform engineering concepts does not only cover IT topics. it can be actually expanded wide into IT and also beyond the IT. And this video is actually about this, how to adopt platform engineering principles not only in DevOps, but also in other IT areas like data or even in the business. This is Advisory Applied, a place where we discuss IT from the business value perspective. And today we will talk about the business value of adopting platform engineering. We often limit platform engineering adoption into DevOps practices, but this is wrong. I think that the idea can be used also in other areas in IT, for example in data or API management, and even outside of IT, in accounting or in government offices. They could also adopt platform engineering principles. I will give you a few examples how to do it, and we will start with the data engineering. Okay, so let's imagine that we have a team that needs a data for its application. We call it data consumers or API consumers team. And well-organized data platform team exposes simple entry point based on which such a team, a consumer team, can say what data they need or what API they need. And the platform will either indicate it, locate it somewhere in the platform on the technical side, or start working on making such data to appear. And if this data does not exist, the platform will find a proper team which has such data and then will coordinate talks between those two teams, where both teams will agree how exactly the data should look like and what should be exposed. The platform team also provides a simple mechanism for delivering this data or the API to the consumer team. Importantly, the platform is responsible for the maintenance of this simple mechanism, and the mechanism should be easy enough to be used by the consumer and by the producer. The teams does not necessarily need to have the data engineers there, but they should be able to use it in a way it's simplified, and it should be easier to use than to bypass it. Technically, this can be, for example, an API gateway or data lake with some pipelines for delivering the API interface or data flows with CI/CD that will build this data flow logical or interface, API interface, and check its correctness in terms of quality or governance rules. It's the same for the data, the simple pipeline that will allow the data to be exposed in some data lake without being an expert in this data lake technology. However, the correction, the business correctness of the data should lay in the hands of this data or API producers, because this is their data, this is their API. What platform provides is simplification for this connection between the producers and consumers, but not the business flow itself. Here is a tricky part. It is necessary to avoid situation where the platform team is responsible for providing all of this data end to end. At the first glance, it may seem like a good practice, because we do not bother the data producers team to expose the data. But remember that the data does not belong to the platform team. The platform should only provide simplification for this data to be exposed and consumed, but not the exposition and consumption itself. It's fuzzy, so let's take an example outside of IT to better explain it. Imagine that you are a courier company and you also took on your shoulders the full sales process and completion of the packages in the warehouse. It sounds like an overkill, right? Because as a courier company, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't take care of whole business of the sales, all the retail, right? Your role should be only to facilitate the delivery of those packages to the customers of this warehouse or this retailer, and not the whole sales business. We can of course help to package the packages, but the responsibility for completing the order should be on the seller's side, the retailer's side, not yours as a courier. And the same is true with data platforms. The responsibility for the data should lie on the producers, and we as a platform have to provide a simple method of making this data available to customers. One that does not require any specific knowledge, a method which is simple, which does not require technical skills in order to be used by the producers or the consumers. We also take, if we also take the transformation or mapping of the data and the business, implementing the business flow and presenting it to the customer, we will quickly become a bottleneck as a platform team, because we will have to understand all the data which are running in the organization, or the mapping, or the business flows, or the logic, and this is what we want to avoid, because we are not the data experts, we are not the business experts, we are platform engineers. Platform should provide a method to expose the data, a method to produce this data, but not the flows. This is also one of the reasons why central integration teams with canonical data models and enterprise service buses does not fully prove themselves, because putting a central team which does all the mapping quickly produces another bottleneck. And today, enterprise service bus like this pattern is being a bit modified or even abandoned. And according to team topologies, the platform team should not be responsible for business operations and should focus only on removing technical and organizational obstacles. In API or data world, it can be exposition of the API, it can be consumption of the API from the technical or organizational perspective, but not on a business perspective. It's tricky, it can be fuzzy at the beginning, but if you think about that cognitive load should be removed and only business logic should stay in data producers, data consumers, this will be easier to understand. Okay, now two other examples on how to adopt the platform engineering concept, and this time completely outside of IT. Take accounting and invoice settlement and the first one. Let's say we want to settle an invoice. With an accounting platform, we don't have to describe this invoice with accounting notes, with the things we don't understand, like some commodity codes, cash methods, or other things that are needed to settle and pay for the invoice. It is enough for us just to briefly, for the business, just to briefly say what circumstances this invoice had been created. In a business language we use every day. For example, we had this transaction for this project and we needed to buy something. And such an accounting platform then takes care to process such an invoice. From the very start, like putting all of those notes, accounting notes, up to the end, up to the payment and up to sending some notes to the tax office or regulation stuff. Taking responsibility, this account platform team should take responsibility for the correctness of this accounting process. And we as a business should take responsibility for the business perspective of this invoice. And we just should take care that we have some kind of simple notification, simple for us, not for the accounting team, that they will tell us that, okay, our accounting job is done. And that's it. Nothing more interests us as a business team. Accounting that does not work in a platform way will either require from this business to accept all of those accounting details, accounting data they don't know about because they are not accounting experts, or worse, require to provide all of those accounting details from this business team. This costs time, this costs nerves, and this means that sooner or later, such an accounting not platform team will be replaced by the accounting which won't bother us with all of those accounting details and information. And last example, which is a bit of a dream of mine, because I haven't encountered it yet anywhere in the government offices, is government office, for example, tax office, operating like a platform. So imagine we have to go to the tax office, for example, to report a flat rental for taxation. We go to the window and we get a form for reporting a flat rental, and there are only exclusively fields regarding the data of the flat and who is reporting it. For example, only our social security number. Absolutely nothing more. Just where the flat is, who is reporting this, nothing more. We will fill this form, and in return we get the account number and the amount of payment. And that's it. The case is closed. This is how it would work if the platform engineering concepts work in the tax office. Unfortunately, today, especially in Poland, it's not working like that. One form is used for like 30 different matters, and after 10 times we provide the same data to the tax office over and over. Like we need to provide not only a social security number, but also a name, surname, everything which the tax office should already know about us, because from the other cases or from the other offices we are registered citizens, right? And for example, we also need to fill or know which fields we need to fill and which not, depending on our case. And we also need to calculate the tax amount of ourselves and provide it in the form. So we end up with a form that we do not understand, with financial responsibility resulting from unclear regulations which we need to know, and if somebody helps us with this, only depends on the goodwill of the officer in this tax office. So many people have been accustomed to that, okay, tax offices, government offices, works like that. But it does not have to work like that. If we approach the petitioner in the office like platform team approaches the client of the platform, and if we adopt platform engineering concepts. And while in the past it was actually hard to do, because it's almost impossible to prepare all of the thousands different versions of the paper forms depending on our case. Today, thanks to digitalization and thanks to AI, it's actually technically possible to do. So, dear politicians, all you have to do is to address it properly and change the mentality of the tax officers. Easy, right? Okay, so if you like the topic of platform engineering concept applied outside of the IT, then many other examples, also outside of the IT world, were presented by Manuel Pesch in his speech Beyond Engineering, the Future of Platforms. The whole speech was an inspiration for me to record this material, so I leave you a link in the description. It's really worth to see, and it's much better explained than I did in this video. And what would you apply, where you apply platform engineering concept in your daily life or in your professional life? Write a comment below and we'll see each other soon. Bye.